Hiring a web designer shouldn't feel like a gamble, but if you don't know what questions to ask, that's exactly what it can become. Today, I'm going to share 10 essential questions that you can ask potential web designers up front so that you don't end up regretting your hiring decisions later. Welcome to the Confident Client Series, where I guide you from wondering about hiring a web designer to knowing your next step. I'm Meg, and I'm a Squarespace web designer, and for this journey, I'll be your confidence catalyst. I help women service providers and creative professionals bridge the gap between their expertise and their online presence so they can show up confidently online. So you've decided you're ready to hire. That's great. But here's where most people get stuck. They don't know what to ask during that first discovery or interview call. You end up with surface level small talk and leave still not knowing if this is the person who's the best choice for you. So today, I'm going to give you 10 questions organized into 4 categories: process, communication, pricing, and support. And by the end of the video, you'll be able to walk into every designer discovery call and interview confident and prepared. First category, understanding the designer's process. First, you need to understand how they work. This is where you get to uncover whether their process matches your needs. First question. What does your typical timeline look like from start to launch? This question reveals how they manage their workload and set expectations. Is it 1 week, 2 weeks, 12 weeks? Now, any timeline can work as long as it fits your schedule and expectations. What matters here is clear phases with specific timeframes. So for example, is it 2 weeks with 1 week for design and 1 week for revisions and launch? Or is it something like 8 weeks where they're working with multiple clients simultaneously, and you might have a phase that is 1 week for strategy, another week for build, another week for revisions? Any of these are valid, but you need to know what it is so that you can determine if it matches your needs. A red flag, though. If the designer has vague answers like, well, it depends, and they don't back that up without any explanation of what factors can affect timing, you want to make note of that. Question 2. How many clients do you work with at once? This will tell you if you'll get their attention or be one of many projects they're working on. Myself, I work with 1 client at a time, but others may work with 3, 5, or more. Neither's wrong, but you deserve to know their process for working and how many clients they'll work with at a time so that you're fully informed of it. Red flag to look out for here, that they can't or won't answer this question. That could suggest some serious disorganization. Question 3. What do you need from me and when? Solid designers are going to have a clear framework and structure for the information that they are going to require you to provide to the project process. Some of us call it homework. These are things like your photos, your copy, your testimonials, your service packages. You need to know ahead of time what you're responsible for providing to the web designer. So an example answer. You will complete a content workbook by day 3, provide photos by day 5, and give feedback within 24 hours during our revisions. A red flag to look out for here? Just send me whatever you have whenever. That is a recipe for delays and frustration. Moving on to category 2, communication and collaboration. This is where you'll have to nail down exactly how you'll work together. Mismatched communication styles can kill projects. So start with question number 4. How will we communicate throughout the project? Some designers love Zoom calls. Some don't want to get on a call at all. Some prefer email, and others will use Slack or other messaging platforms to be in touch with you throughout your project. Here's what you need to find out. How often will you talk? How quickly do you need to respond? How quickly do they respond? What happens if you have an urgent question? Again, you need to match this to your style and how you best like to work. If you are someone who needs frequent check-ins or after-hour support, you need to make sure you're hiring someone who offers that. If you hire someone who doesn't match that same communication style or expectations, you are asking for trouble before you even get started. Question number 5. How many rounds of revisions are included? This is extremely important because it can help prevent scope creep and surprise fees or delays. A good example of an answer is, you have 2 rounds of revisions on the full design. Minor tweaks are included, but any major changes after 2 rounds would count as additional rounds and may incur additional fees. Potential red flag to look out for here is if they say revisions are unlimited. That might sound great, but it often means that they don't have any clear boundaries or process around this. If they have unlimited revisions, it could mean it goes on for way too long and you never get done. Another potential red flag is if they say revisions will cost extra without defining what counts as a revision and what counts as extra. Question 6. What happens if we disagree on design direction? This can reveal how they balance your vision with their expertise. You want a designer who's going to listen to your needs while also providing professional guidance. Remember, you're hiring an expert for a reason. So here's a good example of an answer. If you have concerns, we'll absolutely discuss it. Know that sometimes I'll push back if something could potentially hurt your goals or the strategy that we've established for your website and your business. Ultimately, we will work together to find a solution. So what you need to listen for here is that they have a collaborative approach that both respects your input and your vision with their professional expertise for bringing that vision to life. A red flag here would be if they're on either extreme. If they say, hey, whatever you want, I'll just execute it. That means they're not applying any expertise. Or on the flip side, I'm the expert, just trust me. Well, that's no collaboration and showing that they really aren't interested in listening or making sure that you two are on the same page to drive your vision forward to the best outcome. Category 3, pricing and investment. We all know it. Money talk is uncomfortable, but clarity here prevents resentment later. So question number 7, what's included in your price and what costs extra? Ideally, you'll see pricing breakdowns on their website before you even book a call with them. But during your conversation, you want to confirm exactly what's included. You want to ask about design and development, the number of pages that are included, how many revision rounds, as we said before, what training do they provide, and what kind of launch support do they offer. Also want to clarify, is there your domain registration, your hosting, any third-party app integrations, additional pages beyond the package, listing, copywriting, branding, ongoing maintenance, all of these things. You need complete clarity on where your investment goes and what would be an additional cost. It only makes sense so that you can budget appropriately. You don't want any surprises later on. Question 8, what's your payment structure? Most designers will split their payments into different milestones. A common structure, and one that I use myself, is a third to book your project, another third at the beginning of the project, and the final third at the end where you launch. Others will commonly do a 50-50 offer. And there are some web designers that do require full payment up front. Again, it's not about a right or a wrong decision. It's about knowing what you're committing to financially and when, and knowing that it matches your budget and your needs. Question number 9. What happens if the project goes over time? Do I pay more? Look, we know life happens both to you as a client and to us as web designers. And sometimes there are things out of our control, and sometimes there are things in our control that will cause a project to run long. It's important for you to understand what their policies are up front. For example, they might say, if delays are on my end, there's no extra charge. However, if you're late with your content or your feedback, miss the deadlines, we may need to adjust the timeline and the price will stay the same, but we may need to rebook you at a different date. If you request major scope changes beyond our original agreement, that may incur both delays, rescheduling, and/or additional fees. So what you're listening here for is that they have clear policies about their timeline extensions and under what circumstances additional fees or rescheduling may apply. Again, a red flag here would be if they have no clear policy or schedule of fees or penalties for any delays, including ones that they cause. If they can articulate it, you need to press them on that because you don't want surprises later. And finally, category 4, your post-launch support. And this is really important. Your relationship with your web designer doesn't have to end at launch. I personally don't think it should. Different designers have different ways of providing support after you launch. So question number 10, what kind of support do you offer after my website goes live? You need to find out what happens after. So you want to ask about training sessions, how long you can reach out with questions. Do they offer a window for email support or phone support? Are there any tutorial resources they'll provide you, or do they offer ongoing maintenance or support options? Some common offerings will include a handoff session where they provide some training and resources. Maybe there's a period of a few weeks to a month or so of email support, or they might offer retainer options or support ticket options for ongoing requests for help and updates. What you need, again, depends on your comfort level with managing the site yourself. So you also need to know that going into the conversation. Now, here's a bonus question you might also want to ask. What happens if I'm unhappy with the final result? A confident designer is going to have a clear answer to this, going back to their revision policies, refund terms, or their problem-solving approach. So stop and think for a moment as you're having this conversation with your potential future designer. If they tend to get defensive or seem put off by your questions, then it's probably not the right designer for you. A solid professional designer is going to appreciate that you've come to the conversation informed, you've done your homework, and you're prepared. It shows that you are serious about your project and your business and about what they need to do for you. And that's going to attract better designers, and they're going to want to work with you. So here's what I want you to do. Make note of these questions. Take notes during your call, whether you take them by hand or use an AI meeting recorder. After you've compiled all of your answers for each designer, compare them to each other and ask yourself, which ones made me feel confident? Which ones listened well? Which ones do I trust? And when you narrow that down, you can then move forward with making a decision about hiring a designer that you're going to have a strong relationship. If you're not finding anyone like that, keep looking. It's too important to just settle in this case. And hey, if you're watching this and thinking, I wish I could work with somebody who thinks like this, we should talk. And head on over to my website and feel free to book a discovery call. I'd love to chat with you. So, are there any questions that weren't on this list that you'd add to it? Let me know. Drop a comment and tell me. I'd love to hear from you. And you'll want to stay tuned. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about design day or VIP day rates and whether they're worth it for busy service providers like yourself.